We're looking at the opponents of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao that made them great. And the opponent that we're looking at right now is the opponent that Floyd Mayweather faced early in his career, who gave him the opportunity of a lifetime, Genaro Hernandez. Genaro Hernandez was 5 feet 11, 72-inch reach, known as the Chicanito. Born in Los Angeles, California, the man was undefeated at super featherweight when he met Floyd Mayweather Jr., only suffering 2 losses in his career, both by knockout. But honestly, that man never tasted the canvas because he retired, one by his own choosing against Oscar De La Hoya, and the second one by his brother's decision against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Having drawn only 1 bout in his career, this man was pure class. He was an excellent boxer. He could be the pressure fighter. He could be the matador, directing the traffic. Here you see him as he is boxing and becoming the pressure fighter, landing the straight right against his opponent, Rodolfo Gomez. Good judge of distance and very good defensively, using the high guard and somewhat of a Mexican style. This man was clinical in how he approached, great boxing intelligence and great movement in the ring. He was graceful and yet devastating at the same time. Here he is against the same Rodolfo Gomez in the same fight, being the matador. This time Rodolfo Gomez being the pressure fighter, but still counter-punching with just pinpoint accuracy and devastating skill and power. His explosiveness was known by his body punching, but he was equally as explosive with some very strange combinations, such as this one. A devastating right hook that put Rodolfo Gomez down and he never recovered. Genaro Hernandez. He began his career in 1984, but he really got his first opportunity at the super featherweight title back in 1991 when he vied with Daniel Hernandez for the vacant WBA World Super Featherweight title. After realizing he caught Daniel Hernandez with the overhand right, he caught him yet a second time with the overhand right, and that was all she wrote. Daniel Hernandez never recovered. After defeating Daniel Hernandez, defended his WBA Super Featherweight title a record 11 times, having gone up in weight against Oscar De La Hoya and then coming back down in weight to win it against Azuma Nelson. But before we get there, he fought a number of contenders, of which one he fought to a draw, mainly because the fight was stopped because of an accidental cut due to a headbutt. So it was ruled a technical draw against Raul Perez. He went on to rematch Raul Perez in a match that went for 8 grueling rounds until this moment. Catches him with a body shot to the liver, a left hook, and that was all she wrote. He never recovered. After defeating Raul Perez, he then faced Harold Warren. He was a slick southpaw. As you can see, he had a lot of skill, but still, against Genaro Hernandez, he was no match and had a unanimous decision win over him. After beating Harold Warren, he went on to face Jorge Ramirez. The fight was stopped in the 8th round because Jorge Ramirez had a horrible cut over his eye caused by a left hook from Genaro Hernandez. Here you see the fight stop. But he was a very game opponent. After defending his title against Jorge Ramirez, he faced Jimmy Garcia. This is Jimmy Garcia facing Chicanito. Again, you see Genaro Hernandez being the aggressor against the smaller fighter. After beating Jimmy Garcia, Genaro Hernandez moved up in weight to lightweight to face Oscar De La Hoya. In that fight, he was a very game opponent, even though he moved up in weight class. Here, this is the 5th round of action. Look at the skill of Genaro Hernandez, even against Oscar De La Hoya, a much younger, fresher opponent, catching him with the overhand right. In the end, Genaro Hernandez took some punishment in the 6th round, getting a bloody nose, and at the end of the 6th round, he decided he had called it a day at lightweight. It was a nicely contested fight until the 6th round. After moving down in weight and having knocked out Javier Pacquiao and Antonio Hernandez having a unanimous decision, he fought against Azuma Nelson in a bout which was very much anticipated. 2 veteran fighters fighting one another. Azuma Nelson having a wonderful career and a remarkable record, and Genaro Hernandez having the same, undefeated at super featherweight. It turned out to be a very good fight, in which Azuma Nelson was more the pressure fighter, and Genaro Hernandez took on the role of boxer and matador. It was a nicely contested bout, but Genaro Hernandez simply outboxed Azuma Nelson. After this memorable bout against Azuma Nelson, he took on Anatoly Alexandrov in a very keenly contested bout. Fighting against Alexandrov, he showed that he's not only could play the role of a matador, but he could also play the role of a bull, even though Alexandrov, at certain points in time, was the aggressor. His skill at blocking punches, even though you were right in front of him, you couldn't get your shots in on him, was just amazing. After beating Anatoly Alexandrov, Genaro Hernandez then went on to fight Carlos Hernandez. Being world champion, everybody guns for you, and it was no different in this fight. Carlos Hernandez had just had 1 loss in his career, and did this fight begin crazy. Hernandez was gunning for him from the get-go. He reminded me a little bit of a Marcos Maidana coming to heat, seek, and destroy, but the class and skill of Genaro Hernandez was too much for the smaller Carlos Hernandez. And Genaro Hernandez easily controlled him and eventually won the fight. The last bout of Genaro Hernandez's career came when he faced Floyd Mayweather. And this bout really showed the different modes of Genaro Hernandez, who became the bull instantaneously, bullying the smaller Floyd Mayweather. Genaro's skill and class proved that not only was he a bigger opponent, but most people believed he would outclass and finally take out the smaller Floyd Mayweather. It turned out to be a rough and tumble affair in the beginning, but in the end, Genaro's brother called it a day. And Genaro ended the fighting career he had with integrity and grace. And definitely, throughout his career, he was menacing and he was extremely devastating when he had to be. But you gotta admit, the man had a big heart. And the man was a class act in the ring. Genaro Hernandez, definitely one of the greats. You guys have a good one now.